Welcome to the Farm Bill program, Reallocating Your Farm Base Acres. This video is presented by Tim Lemmons, Extension Educator at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln Extension at the Northeast Research and Extension Center in Norfolk, Nebraska. The 2014 Farm Bill provides a landowner or owners a one-time opportunity to reallocate the base acres that you have on the farm. In this discussion, a farm is defined as a parcel or parcels of land that have the same FSA serial number. A farm might have one serial number that contains more than one parcel of ground. The reallocation of the base acres on the farm will not affect the individual parcels of ground at this time. However, know that in the future, landowners will have an opportunity to move base acres from one parcel to another. Ultimately, who makes this decision? The landowner or owners do, not the tenant. If the farm has more than one owner or entity, it will take only the signature of one of them to reallocate the base. If the tenant has a current, valid, and legal power of attorney form on file with the FSA office, then the tenant can make the decision on behalf of the landowner or owners. If you're not sure what the status is of your power of attorney form, you're encouraged to contact the FSA office that administers your farm to check and make any changes that you need. Don't wait till the last minute to check on those POA forms. Get that done sooner than later. With the legalities out of the way, what does this decision entail? You ultimately have the decision to either retain the base acre allocation that you have on the farm as of September 30th, 2013, or you may reallocate your farm's base acres to represent the planted share of covered commodity crops that you have grown on the farm from 2009 to 2012. This election will be made serial number by serial number, farm by farm. This decision is critically important because Farm Bill program payments, PLC, ARC-IC, and ARC-CO, are made on base acres. The best way to look at the effect is to examine a couple of examples. Here we have an example of a farm with the different crop base acres it had in 2009. And we see those here as corn 100, soybean 100, alfalfa, wheat 30, sorghum 70, for a total of 300. We also see the various crops that were planted from 2009 to 2012 and how the farm's base acres were planted program commodity crop by program commodity crop. Note that the farm started with 300 base acres. At the end of the program, it still has 300 acres. Regardless of what you have planted, what physical changes you have done on the farm, or how you might have conceptualized the change in land area, you may not add base acres to the decision and you will not lose base acres. Here we see that from 2009 to 2012, 46% of the base acres have been planted to corn, 54% have been planted to soybeans. While alfalfa was planted on the farm, it is not a covered commodity and therefore does not contribute to the reallocation calculation. It's noted here as NC, or not covered. If we multiply 46% times the 300 base acres that we have, we see that the new reallocation would be 138 base acres of corn, 162 base acres of soybeans. Since we didn't plant any wheat or sorghum from 2009 to 2012, those base acres are reallocated to corn and beans. Here we pick up base on the two crops that we grow. Here's a similar example. Over here we see we start the farm with a full corn and soybean base, 150 corn, 150 soybeans, 300 total. And we have no base this time in wheat or sorghum. Over the last several years, from 2009 to 2012, we can see the plantings that the farm has incurred. Perhaps for whatever reason in 2012, we plant 50 base acres to wheat. And in 2011, we planted 100 base acres to sorghum. Look at how that affects the base acre reallocation from before. We lose corn base down to 107, but soybean base doesn't change. It stays at 150. We need to think about how this affects our decision. If the goal of the operation is to match the farm as close as possible to the way we have historically performed, then we should reallocate, regardless of how the numbers come out. If the goal is to maximize risk management, we need to look forward to how we intend to farm in the future. If the farm is going to be primarily corn and beans, then we might want to retain the old base, 150 corn and 150 beans, because to do otherwise is going to strip the farm of some of that corn base. Some producers might decide that corn is king, and they may choose to adopt any reallocation option that maximizes corn base acres. Ultimately, the decision on how you're going to reallocate is entirely up to you. What you must consider is how base acres affects the farm. Recall that ARC-CO, ARC-IC, and PLC program payments are all tethered to base acres. For PLC and ARC-CO, the number of base acres you have for each of the covered commodities affects payment opportunity and total amounts. For the ARC-IC program, payments are made on the overall base acres on the farm, not necessarily the distribution of that base around the farm. For ARC-IC landowners, you might think at this time the decision is beyond your concern. But realize, when you choose to retain or reallocate your base, you're not only affecting the payments of this Farm Bill, but all future Farm Bill programs yet to come. The opportunity to reallocate base does not come around every bill, so take the opportunity at least to analyze your options and make a decision when provided. If we go back to the first example, consider the fact that we reallocate the base and we lose the wheat and sorghum acres. We might be giving up future payments. How, you say? Recall that PLC and ARC-CO pay out if and when the price or revenues from the base commodity trigger payments, respectively. It doesn't matter how you actually farm the ground. You could plant entirely to corn. If the PLC price of sorghum drops below $3.95 per bushel, and you have those base acres on the farm, you get a check. Regardless how you farm, if the base commodity revenue guarantee for each county falls below that county trigger, you get a check. If you lose that base, you might also be giving up a payment on a commodity that might pay out in the future. So your decision is important. Luckily, the FSA office will perform the calculations for reallocation for you. When you get to the office, they'll present you with your decision. And it's shown here in the red box. Retain what you have for base, or accept the new reallocation presented. Again, the choice is yours. Consider how you will manage the risk on the farm. Decide what you did historically, decide what you think you'll do in the future, or decide on where you expect maximum payments to be received. Finally, seek out help when you need it. Your local Nebraska Extension Office and Farm Service Agency offices are here to assist you with any questions you might have. Thanks for watching, and be sure to look for more assistance videos on land and public policy to be coming from the University of Nebraska Extension Agricultural Economics team.